Hello, Awards Watch listeners and readers. This is staff writer Ryan McQuaid, and I have the honor of presenting my conversation with Academy Award winner and star of Michael Sarnoski's Pig, Nicolas Cage. Throughout my interview with Cage, we talk about his process in creating Rob, his character in Pig, his bond with Sarnoski, as well as his co-star Alex Wolff, and his philosophy on acting, as well as a couple of fun rapid-fire questions towards the end of the interview. It's everything that a fan of Nicolas Cage and a fan of his extraordinary performance in Pig would want. And here is my conversation with Nicolas Cage. Well, thank you for sitting down with me today, Mr. Cage. It's a real honor to speak with you today.
Thanks, Ryan, and call me Nick.
Yes, sir. Yes, Nick. So sorry. You stated in previous interviews that you chose Pig because you wanted to do a more smaller, subtle performance. Why was that?
It was more of a return to performances that I had previously explored in movies like Joe or Birdie. I had gone on a bit of a tear for a while, exploring what I thought I could do with the boundaries or the limitations of film performance. And I had this philosophy, if you will, that what you could do in one art form, you might be able to do in another, and why not try it? Why not try something surrealistic or operatic or abstract or impressionistic in film performance? It was more experimental, and a lot of it was very satisfying and very rewarding for me in my personal dreams about what I wanted to examine with film performance. But I had done that, and I felt that I had developed enough life experience, memories, dreams, where I could return to a more naturalistic, quiet style. And that was what I was looking for when I said that to my agent. And they sent me the script Pig, which was like kismet, because right away I knew that I had these memories and experiences that I could, and observations that I could play this part in that style, if you will, that format of quietude and naturalism.
Yeah, no, for sure, and it shows in the film. And I think what's great about it too is you're working with a first-time director here, and you've worked with a lot of first-time directors in your career. What was it about Michael here that clicked with you before the production and then while you guys were making it?
With Michael, we met for about an hour, and there was just a flow to the conversation. And sometimes when you've been doing it for long enough, you can develop almost like a second sight to the person that you're communicating with. Like, you can tell, is this going to be something that's going to be chaotic, or is this going to be something that's going to be unpredictable, or is this going to be something that's just going to flow and be almost effortless? And with Michael, when I sat down with him, the conversation was very brief, but we were having some food together. The movie, as you know, food plays a large part in it, and we were sharing our interests. And did you try the shishito peppers? What did you think of and this camaraderie of interest in that which is culinary. And then also, I said I had this remarkable dream the night before about my cat, and something had happened to him. And then I started thinking about Rob and what he was going through with his beloved pig. And I thought, I know that was just odd. Now, obviously, this is an incident that happens to Rob that is a layer on top of a layer that has another well of grief that seems to emerge as we go along in the movie. But it just was remarkable to me that I had that dream the night before. So to me, it seemed like, again, like almost like a kismet that this was happening. And then that carried through on the set. We didn't do more than 2 takes. We didn't really have a lot of discussion about where to go with the character. It just seemed to be in the blueprint that was the screenplay by Vanessa and Michael. And that carried through. If anything, the only direction I really got from Michael was slower or faster.
Mhm.
That was about it.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And then speaking with you, the titular film, which is this is Pig, and speaking of your co-star, here is this prize truffle pig, Brandy. And I've heard you speak a little bit about it, but I was just, what was it like working with her as a co-star? She's such a big part of this film.
Well, she wasn't interested in acting. I can tell you that. I would not describe her as an actor. She was interested in eating, like one might imagine with a pig, and she wanted to get paid. And so I felt a little bad for her because she was thrown into this world. She was not a trained pig, thrown into this world of working with these strange people. And but I found ways of helping her by getting, like, I would get close with her and be on the ground with her, and I would maybe speak softly to her and give her a carrot. And she knew she was safe with me, so that was good. And she also knew she would get paid with me, so that was also good. So I would give her what she really wanted, and that helped. But it was at times, being that she wasn't trained, it was at times difficult for the crew.
Well, yeah. Well, it doesn't come off in the film because it seems like you guys have this great kismet relationship. And speaking of a great relationship, you have as your other co-star, which is Alex Wolff, who's fantastic alongside you in this movie.
He's superb. Yeah.
I actually spoke with him recently, and when we were talking, he told me that you are essentially his spiritual guide as a person. And I just want to ask you what it's like working with him and that bond that you guys have created since the film's been shot and now released.
Well, see, I've always viewed myself as a student. I would never say, oh, I'm a master. I am a student. And in that, I mean, the idea is to keep learning and to keep looking and discovering. And one of the things that really excites me, if you have that mindset, is working with younger actors. And Alex was somebody who I was very familiar with because I'd seen the remarkable work he had done in Hereditary. And when I first met him, I said, I know who you are, meaning you're as good as it gets. You're an actor that is as good as it gets. And so for me, the exchange was, I also knew that his dad, who I'd met years ago on the Arsenio Hall show, was a fantastic jazz composer. And so one of the styles that I'd like to play with in the collection of styles is jazz. And the idea of jazz is you riff off the other musician and you support each other. You throw out a melody, and then the other musician throws out a melody, and then you bring it together, and then you play with it, and then you put an umbrella on it, whatever it may be. And with Alex, I was able to say, well, what do you think of this? And he would try something, and he would do something really extreme, and I would, awesome, let's do that again. And so that was the exchange. If I had an idea and I wasn't sure about it, I would ask him. So I think, I don't know, I mean, that's very nice that he would say I'm his spiritual guide, I guess, in the sense that the spirit meaning that which we feel and that which motivates and inspires and lifts us, in that was the relationship we had for both of us, not just for him, but also for me. And I am happy to consider him my friend, and that he's someone I can talk to. That I think one of the great ways to look at life is what Epicurus said, which is atraxias, which is that to have a peaceful life is to surround yourself with people who are friends that you can talk to. That is one of the ways to happiness.
Yeah, no, and I mean, he had nothing but glowing things to say. Called you his favorite actor, and it was, you could just feel the energy, like when you're speaking there and when I was speaking with him, just how much you guys have this bond, and it is on screen. And getting a little bit more now into the film. In the film, Rob states that he remembers everyone and everything he's cooked. And it causes like reflection that impacts his craft and the overall ending of the movie. Was there a past performance or experience that helped you when you were making Pig?
One of my own performances, or
It could be one of your own. It could be something else that you tapped into that got you into the mind space of Rob.
I think I was one of the great natural screen performers, in my estimation, who I think when you watch this person on camera, I don't see any acting. It just feels like this person is being, and it's a kind of brutal realism. And that person is Martin. Sorry. It's my cuckoo clock.
That's okay.
I guess, yeah, it's 11 o'clock.
Yes,
that person is Martin Sheen.
mm-hmm.
There are film actors that have that level when they're really in the zone, where you don't see the acting. It just seems like they are so emotionally informed. And Hackman is another one in like The Conversation, and so so I see I think in that way, in terms of a style, that was a little bit on my mind.
Okay. No, those are fantastic.
But the thing that's interesting to me is that emerges from this movie is the power of food, the emotional power of food. This isn't a movie about somebody looking for bloodlust and revenge. This isn't a John Wick movie. This isn't a martial arts movie. This is a movie about somebody that is. He knows that the power of the meal can evoke truth and emotional response, and he finally gets his answer at the end as to what happened to his pig through the power of food. He knows exactly what he's doing, but that is, to me, highly original. I've never seen that in another movie. I have not one time seen. And Michael and Vanessa wrote all that.
No, and I agree, because I've told a lot of people the premise of this film, and but I said, but it's not that, and they've come out of it and they felt something completely different. And I think what's so great about it is how authentic it is, and it goes back to the preparation that you had for the role. You trained a lot to cook, obviously to the level that you would hope that Rob is at. Were there any lessons that you learned in that training process that you can carry maybe like in your work and as an actor moving forward?
I think that, in my life, the greatest lesson I learned, and I use it every day, is I remember Chef Rugner was like, Nick, the claw, you got to use the claw, meaning, because I always take a sharp knife and I cut things and my fingers are always like that. And he's like, this is, a kitchen is a very dangerous place. I mean, things are going on fire, hot oil, olive oil, whatever it is. But if you slice like that with your fingers like that, you got to have the claw, because otherwise you're going to lose your fingers. So I use that every day. But there was also another note that I received from one of my teachers, which is about when you hold the food in your hands, the contact with the food, it's a passionate and it's a sensual experience that you have to feel the energy of the ingredients, and you're sort of massaging them as you're building the mushroom tart with the dough, all of that. So the connection that was very important with the hands. Mm-hmm. And I think they did a good job photographing that, like the love that was going into the respect for the food itself, for the ingredients. Because when you think about it, food is first. I mean, for me, I can't do anything until I have my breakfast.
Yeah.
If I have my breakfast, then I can think. And that includes spiritual things or whatever it is I want to do, meditate or read a book or watch a movie. And so I respect the food because that comes first for me. And I think the movie shows the power of the experience that we all have with food.
Yeah, it's completely therapeutic, I think.
I think so, yeah.
And speaking of love and respect, this movie is one of the most acclaimed films of the year. Your performance is one of the most acclaimed performances of the year. So I must ask you, as working for an award site, what does it mean for you to be celebrated by so many people, including the industry that you've grown up with, that you've grown up in, for this performance?
Well, I'm deeply thankful. I mean, I think Gary Oldman said the sound of applause is never to be ignored. It's to be appreciated. And it's very, I'm touched. I'm deeply touched that other people in the industry and film enthusiasts, cinephiles got something out of the movie, and the public responded. You know, this was a movie that I think even CNN said it mirrored what we were all feeling coming out of isolation and feelings of quarantine and as Rob is emerging. So even for the audience in the public who don't make movies, who aren't part of this industry, they responded to it almost like a folk song. And I really have Michael and Vanessa to thank for that, because they wrote this script and they gave me something that, I mean, this doesn't happen often, that there is a collision like lightning in a bottle that happens maybe once every, I mean, I'm doing this now 43 years. Mm-hmm. This is like maybe in that time period twice. And this is one of them.
No. And I think I think all this praise is also a celebration of your career and everything. And I've been a fan of yours for my whole life. And I've read a lot about you, and you've always called yourself a film enthusiast in the past.
Yeah.
So did that come initially from the legacy of like your family and working in the business for so many years, or was that more of like you would discovery and finding things that you attached yourself to, then you're like, I want to do that, like that, those kind of performances are what hit me, that those kind of movies? Was that something that's always been ingrained in you?
No, that was definitely the latter, which is I want to do that. Mm-hmm. I even as a child of 3 or 4, I mean, my memories, one thing I'm cursed with is like this steel trap memory. I don't forget anything, and that's a blessing and a curse. But like, I can remember being 2, 3 on my living room floor watching television and going, I don't want to be around these people. I want to go inside there and be with those people. You know, it's like, and that I think was my most nebulous and embryonic idea of becoming an actor, a film, specifically a film actor or a television actor. Just, I wanted to be in that frame. Mm-hmm. It was so much more interesting to me than the other people in my living room. And then when I got into the teenage years, I went to the New Beverly Cinema and I saw a double feature of James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden. And when I saw his breakdown in East of Eden, when he was trying to give his father the money, he had worked his ass off selling the beans for his birthday and he's rejected. That emotional breakdown that he went through was the most powerful thing I'd ever seen in terms of the arts. And I grew up watching like old movies and going to museums because my dad was a professor. But I knew then that I wanted to do that. And then, we just lost Sidney Poitier. So I went on, and I woke up on my birthday and I just saw on the news he had died. So then I went on a film festival and I watched a marathon of his movies, like The Defiant Ones and The Heat of the Night. And the charisma and the just the style and the coolness and then the charm. I mean, these are the kinds of people that inspire me, that keep me wanting to stay in this path of cinema that I've chosen.
Yeah, I've got just a couple more questions, but I wanted to do something with you real quick.
Sure.
For our last moments together, I wanted to kind of do like a rapid fire of some some fun or more laid back questions that I know a lot of people would love to hear from you. And if I could just do them real quick, and that would be great. So my first one is, what's your favorite Nicolas Cage movie?
Vampire's Kiss.
That's a great one. I love that one.
Thank you.
I love that one. Mine's Wild at Heart.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I love that
David
film.
Lynch. Beautiful. Yeah.
What is a film of yours you wish more people would talk about?
Bringing Out the Dead.
That's a great one. You and Scorsese. I think of Joe, and I think of Knowing. I really like Knowing, and I know a lot of people didn't. And
I love both those movies, and Knowing in particular was kind of marginalized, and not so much. Well, Joe in the beginning was getting some attention, and it seems to have fallen out over time. But that's a good one. But Knowing specifically, I think that's a good one to select, because I think people might enjoy that, especially now.
Yeah. What character would you want to play again if you got a chance?
Oh, that's I don't know how to answer that, because I don't go back. I'm always looking forward. So I don't think I'd want to play any of them again.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I'd love to see you do another National Treasure, but I know that's all locked up and stuff and everything. Just a couple more real quick.
Sure.
Which is a character or person that you haven't played before that you would love to play one day? Maybe another fictional character, a real life person.
I've always liked the idea of playing Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, because my first love was the ocean. And I always thought that would be something I could really express from a place that was honest.
What excites you the most about playing Dracula?
To me, the character of Dracula, and they're still trying to finalize all that, by the way, but the character of Dracula to me was always love in exile. That this was a character, this was a being that had so much love, and that he made the wrong choices and wound up in exile. And I think that my uncle did that best with the performance he got from Oldman and in his movie. I think that really expressed that when you look at that performance and what he did.
Two more real quick. What is a movie from 2021 that moved you and that you hope everyone checks out, besides obviously Pig?
I mean, a movie that came out this year.
Yes, sir.
I really liked what Kristen Stewart did in Spencer. I liked her performance. I mean, the entire movie, not so much, but what she did, I thought was it was emotional for me, because, my mom had some issues. So to me, that was pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, that's a great performance. And lastly, in your next project, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, you are playing a version of yourself. So with that, who is Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage is a student who is on a path in cinema to try to keep learning and finding great characters with which to tell stories with.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic.
But that's one. Then
that's
there's
one.
The father, and then there's you know what I mean? There's other, but in the terms of how people whom I don't know view me, I would say that.
No, that's fantastic. Sir, I thank you so much for sitting down with me. I love your performance in this movie. I wish you and your family the best in this new year. I really do, sir. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
And I wish it to you as well. Happy New Year to you. Much peace, health, and success to you.
Thank you.